All right, let's do the business. Respectfully, of course. We are back. We are out of the nightclub. We're ready to do... There you go, Kenny. Beat that beat. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself. All right.
That was Kenny coming back from heavy break.
That was special. We're going to get to Lions a little later. Yes, we do have an NBA team allegedly in this town. We'll get to them later, too. I want to just start out with the Tigers because I haven't had a chance to talk about much. And I kind of wonder if this is the year all of you finally realize that it's not just bad, it's expansion level. And I understand a lot of people want to sit there and write about the plane and write about the new locker rooms like any of us care. Meanwhile, the ballpark looks like the Little League World Series. I don't know whose idea it was, but it looks awful.
Yeah, only thing missing is that mud hill to slide down.
Yeah, the team's even worse, though. And look, it's no secret they're bad. But, guys, the way that they look to start this year, it's expansion. Yeah, the way I view it is the Oakland A's have a reason to be bad. And honestly, the A's are usually pretty good.
Yeah.
Billy Beane has shown you time and again they'll operate on a shoestring budget. They'll put it together. They'll retool. They'll be back. Right. But they're also leaving town, guys.
Yeah, they have an agenda. They're trying to look really bad so that they can
go to Vegas.
Yeah.
That's it. Where are you going? See, here's the thing. It's not just that they have the worst pitching staff in the league or the worst bullpen in the league. They do. The Javi Baez thing is comedy. That's public enemy number one. That's basically what happened to Adam Dunn at the end or Chris Davis at the end. Javi Baez is an embarrassment. Cabrera's simply collecting a check. The ballpark's empty. I want to know from you guys this. Even though we were told the rebuild's 100% over. Chris is never living that down, by the way. Nor will I ever let him live it down. Chris Ilitch will never live down that.
That's his taking
in
the
a
win
Tigers
moment.
Jacket that was handed to him and he has not worn since. Here, put this on. Look like you care. The rebuild is 100% over. Actually, no. It's 100% not started. The product's embarrassing. I want to know from you, the people, this. Is this the year you end up just staying away? Now, I'm not telling you to. I'm asking. Because, Rico, I said this to you early in the spring, and I know it was like, oh, come on, Mike. But, like, is this a year they barely draw 1 million fans?
Yeah.
What is the reason to go? What are we watching?
Half the reason to go has happened. It was opening day.
Okay, now that's out of the way. What are we doing?
The other half, Miggy, the final series.
Does anyone really care?
Yes. Yes, they do.
Well, then those people are stupid.
Did you not see how opening day was all Miggy all the time? Hey, buddy, why don't you come out here and throw the opening pitch with us? Who, me?
Well, they had half the town out there throwing the opening pitch.
Yeah, right, but it was to make it look like he was, yes, trust me. The next time you'll see a packed house, final series, his final game, final series. That's it.
Well, he shouldn't be here at the end of the year, but I'll leave it alone. Look, here's the question. I want to know from you guys. We're 9 games in. We knew they weren't going to be good, but I'm wondering if we're looking at something else. I'm wondering, and again, we did this before the show, guys. Just so you understand context, all right? Everybody who's an old head like David, myself, Rico, not Kenny. Kenny's a little young. But the mid to late 90s into the early 2000s was a decade of arguably the worst baseball this franchise has ever played. Since 2015, you're replicating that. You're replicating it. And I can tell you right offhand without geeking out, because I know Rico's like, don't do that, you'll lose the whole audience. You're tangibly worse offensively than the Joaquin Garcia teams or Karim Garcia or Camara Barti teams. You're way worse. You've already set a record for being the worst offense in history. Your winning percentage is right in line. You basically win roughly 39, 40% of your games. It's pathetic. And guys, here's the problem. Even if Scotty Harris is good at his job, what are we really talking about? They're not making the playoffs this year. Not going to make the playoffs next year. At the earliest, the most optimistic person, and I will tell you I don't have any optimism for it, the earliest you could talk about making an appearance in the playoffs is 25. I think the more realistic timeline is probably 26. Mm-hmm. You already have the longest playoff drought in baseball of 8 years. Guys, you're almost assuredly going to get to 11.
I think the only thing that keeps them from totally mirroring the 90s team is they would have brought back Verlander just to let him retire the way, they had Gibson retire in 95. Like, yeah, it's because that was the only draw that you were going to get.
Yeah, and just so you understand what we're looking at, from 94 to 05, you had 765 wins as a franchise, okay? 15 through last year. I haven't added this year's totals yet, but I think we all know this is not going to be a very good season. You have 501 wins. Yeah. You're 264 off. You got to get 264 in the next, 3 years? Is that what we're doing? Guys, you start to see what we're talking about? Mm-hmm. I want to know as fans if this is now the point of arrival for you. That you knew it was bad, you knew you didn't like Avila, you knew he probably needed to go, but now your baseball team is Scotty Harris can't even be blamed for this because they're not even trying to win. No. I mean, the offseason was what? Lorenzen, Matthew Boyd reset. And if you expect me to believe that Chris Ilitch is going to spend money when Miggy retires, I don't buy it. The Javi Baez thing is going to be a storyline because he is arguably one of the worst players in the game.
Regressed. And I mean, I'll give you full credit, Mike. You said, I remember asking because we were talking about different shortstops. Like, what if they just went a little bit cheaper and went for Javi Baez? Look at what he's done, and you're like,
please
do
don't.
That.
And
please
he's here.
Don't.
Do you know what's funny? It's not funny. It's actually terrible. Every time you watch, you remember last year how you guys were passing around the highlight video of all the sliders he would swing and miss at?
The one he missed of Sister Jean's?
Yeah. Rico, he's already done that a half a dozen times this year.
No, it's you wonder, like, dude, what are you looking? Because you look at a guy like Trout who just won't swing at anything,
right?
Unless it's right down the middle of the plate. Javi just can't lay off of it, man. It's like Pookie in New Jack City. It just be calling him. That curveball just be calling, man.
When is the next time they're watchable? And, Kenny, I don't want to hear about you're going to go and have a good time on a Tuesday night. I don't begrudge you. Go ahead, man. Do it. Enjoy yourself. I'm talking about going because they're watchable, going because the product resembles Major League. See, this is the difference. I don't think Chris Ilitch is embarrassed. I don't think he has shame. I don't care how rich you are. If I owned a team, I'd be embarrassed of this. Do you realize, guys, that as bad as the Tigers, I understand they only have 4 championships. I get that. But do you recognize there have only been 2 periods of your franchise's history, which is almost 125 years running? There's only 2 periods that look like this. Mm-hmm. The period I cited, which was basically 94 to 05, and what you're living in right now. Yeah, that's the only periods of time where it's looked like this.
Yeah, it was 84 World Series, 87. You were really competitive. You made the trade. You went for it, and all of a sudden, it just went downhill.
But they've had losing
But then you came back.
Right. Even you go in the 70s. Now, they tanked one year in the 70s, but they had plenty of winning years.
Right.
The 60s, 68, and around it. The 50s, 40s, 30s, 20s. Never. There are 2 periods of time where it looks like this. And we're in it now. Yeah. But see, I don't think Chris Ilitch is embarrassed.
And this one looks worse than the 90s because at least the 90s had a bunch of young players that you're like, you know what? I think this Verlander guy is going to be pretty good once he gets his feet underneath him.
Yeah, the problem, too.
Now.
What are you doing? Trying to make your ballpark 3 rivers? What is this? They've taken every identifiable characteristic of the park and they've gotten rid of it. It looks like the Little League World Series.
Not a big fan of the 7-foot fence?
No. What, is Danny Almonte going to pitch out there? It looks like when they do the Celebrity Pro-Am, the softball game at the All-Star game, and they have the paper walls.
The rock and jock.
Right. What? Why would you do this? It's a beautiful ballpark. Now, I didn't design it with huge dimensions, but you did. So let's roll with it. What are we doing? Yeah. That park looks terrible.
Right, and they never really built around the team because the way they originally built the park, you were going to need pitching and just
speed.
Really
and left-handed pull power.
Yeah, speed, slap hitters, move the ball around, manufacture runs, but then baseball changed, and it became all about home runs. And you built the park like a year or two late where it was like, oh,
and now speed's back.
Wait, yeah. Let's bring everything in. Let's change this around.
It looks cheap. Doesn't look well done. It's not pleasing to the eye. And I'll be honest, I always like having a park that's different. Now, I get it. All right. Shout out to the flagpole that they made sure to take out of play real quick. There was no reason to change.
There's nothing distinguishing.
No, it's homogenized. It's just this thing. But again, it's a dead franchise.
Right. Even if it's like the weird hill. What was that, Houston?
Oh, what was that thing called? Yeah. The name escapes me. But yeah,
you're
right.
But it's like you want something that just sets you apart, and now it's.
When is the next
time? And then
time?
Why did you wait till the day before the season's opening game to do the wall?
Well, they had trouble getting it finished from everything you hear. Dude, listen, man. All right, I love baseball.
It's like people who Christmas shop. Like, did you forget?
This
Christmas
doesn't
same day
help
every year?
us as a station. I don't want the team to be bad. For those of you who think I do, you're wrong. We want you to listen to the games. We have a really good play-by-play team. We have a good broadcast. This doesn't help us. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. Like, the A's are bad for a reason? What's your excuse? I mean, I wish I could play Chris Ilitch telling you a year ago that the rebuild's 100% over in continuum. Like, I want to gaslight you with that. I want you to think you're insane when your team's 40 games under this year. How that guy could say that with a straight face and then disappear for a year, that's amazing to me. And now, they didn't spend a dime. See, if you had owners that were going to spend, I'm not telling you it'd be the right thing to do, but like the Rangers are trying. Not telling you it's going to work, but they're trying. DeGrom, Marcus Semien, Numbnuts, Seager. I'm not telling you it's the best way, but I'm saying you could at least have some hope.
You know what?
We don't have that.
Yeah, and you were sold such a bill of goods across the board from Avila. You know, we're going to invest all this money in the minor league systems. We're going to take over Latin baseball. We're going to do all of this stuff.
It's a joke.
And you have nothing to show for it.
Look, the roadmap resides in the 216. The Guardians have had a cheap owner for as long as I can remember. Going back to when they were the Indians. But you know what they always do? They have a system. They produce pitchers. Always. 3 of their starters die. Doesn't matter. Got more. And they got another 3 or 4 coming. There's a system. Scotty Harris has to build these things. You know how long that takes? And then it's like, when's the next time I get to watch a really good international signing that this team either identifies or trades for? Who's doing the scouting? Mr. Magoo? I mean, it's never. The same teams are always good at international signings. Yankees, Dodgers. Hell, the Pirates are America's farm team. They'll find them, and other people will trade for them.
Always amazes me how the Braves can find somebody, and he's the rookie of the year.
There it is.
And he's the rookie of the year.
So I want to know
the
from
Cardinals.
you. Hey, there's going to be limited baseball shows this summer, but I'm amped up. The product's embarrassing. The next 30 games are brutal, guys. Brutal. Wait till you get a look at the Cardinal lineup.
Yeah, and it was like, wow.
Cardinals are going to be the first team to go out there with erections and score 10 runs. They're going to take one look at your pitching staff, and it's going to last way more than 6 hours. That's the whole Cardinal lineup when they come to town.
That wasn't fun as we went through the games in the series. And you were like, positively speaking, you were like, if they can, what did you say? If they can go
8 under?
Right. If they could just go 8 under, they would be 12 under for the season.
And you're like, Mike, that's positive. I go, well, you don't want the negative. 248-539-9797. I want to know when you think this team's watchable again. What brings you to that park this summer?